Hello, fellow music makers. This is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music. And in this video, we're going to take a look at the Symphony series string ensemble. There are two versions. Symphony Essentials is the light version, and Symphony series is the fuller version with a lot more articulations, as well as some other features like Divisi, which is a very uncommon technique that's available in most string libraries. And as you can see right now, they're having a special, and it will end July the 1st on the String Ensemble Symphony series. It's normally $500 for the package and the cross grade if you already own the essential versions is $149.50, and if you have Contact Ultimate 11, then you can get, there's actually a possibility of getting the cross grade for $300 for all of the Symphony series, which would include the percussion, woodwinds, and strings, as well as brass, including solos in the brass and the woodwinds. So it's a good time to look into them if you haven't already, this particular sale. The Auto Divisi is especially significant in the string ensemble, and we'll get into that as the video progresses. A quick comparison, the string ensemble in the larger version gives you Auto Divisi, and it also gives you true polyphonic legato and portamento, which is not available. Neither the Auto Divisi or the legato and portamento are available in the Essentials version, which many of you have already. But as you see, here's a contrast. The Essentials version has 3 gigabytes versus 34 gigabytes in the Symphony series. Also, you have 38 articulations and 38, so you have most of the same articulations, although there are a couple in the Symphony series, in particular the true legato, and there's runs also available. There's no Auto Divisi in the Symphony Essentials, and there's a legato emulation, but the Symphony series has true legato, as well as legato emulation to save on resources. And you only have one mic position, but you have 4 mic positions in the Symphony series, and the effects are pretty much the same. So let's go ahead and take a look at the instruments. Here we have the Symphony Essential violins, and pretty much here's your articulations. We have sordino, sordino with vibrato. We have tremolo, we have trills, harmonic, staccato. And if you click here, you can actually choose which articulations you want. So for example, if you notice here, C0 is the sordino sustain. And if suppose I wanted to just do sustains, I could click on the C0 and just have sustains. So let's go ahead and listen to what the sustains look like. We have the sustain articulation up. So the sound is actually comparable in the 2 editions because you're using the same samples. However, you're doing the stereo mix here. And if we go over to the violins in the full edition, we have a slightly different colored interface. And if you look at the articulations, notice we don't have sustains, but the legato can actually work 4 sustains if the audio divisi is engaged. So here we have the legato articulation, and notice we have portamento available as well as your auto divisi. So here you go. So we have 30 players in the strings, in the violins. And notice if I hit one note, all 30 players play that note. If I hit 2 notes, you have a division of 16 and 14. So all 30 players are playing, but you only have 30 players playing. You don't have more than that. With most libraries, if you had a 30 violin section, when you play 2 notes, you'd have 60 violins. And if you have 3 notes, you'd have 90 violins. And you play 1 note, you have 30. So it's not a real natural sound. But with auto divisi, you get the same kind of sound you would have if you actually had 30 violins. So when we play 3 notes, it's broken up into the 16, 7, and 7. So again, you have a total of 30 players. So you hear the portamento come in there when you... So other articulations, we have legato non-vibrato, and you have a vibrato control. So you can go from non-vibrato to vibrato by using this control here, which you can learn a MIDI CC for. Now, right now, I don't have auto divisi checked. So if I check it, also, this speed control is for the speed of your portamento. Actually, if you notice, the portamento is not lit up. In the legato with vibrato control, they actually disabled the portamento. So here we have it. Now, if you disable auto divisi, then the portamento actually is a little easier to implement and is more pronounced. Now, if I speed up the portamento, it's faster when you go from one note to the other. So there's a little slower. Actually, I like the slower portamento. So now the other articulation we have in the string the Symphony series is the runs, which is not present in the Essentials version. And then you can do major, which we're doing now, or you can do minor. There's a subtle difference between the two. Now, So that the one thing is, notice that you just have runs up, you don't have runs down. It would be nice to have included runs down. It also would be nice to enhance it so you also get different scales in your runs. Now, so that's a comparison between the two violins. Now there's also a Violins 2, interestingly enough, in the Essentials version, which looks very much the same, has the same articulations as Violins 1. So it just lets you separate your violins in 1 and 2 into 2 sections. So here are your articulations. You have, of course, Sordino is nice because not all libraries have Sordino, which is muted strings. There's your tremolo and your trills. Now here you can do major scale, C major in particular. And then you can go minor. And then you can do half trills and whole trills. So it's a nice feature that you can actually select any of the 12 scales. And then there's a little icon that tells you what your articulation, gives you an idea of what it looks like. Just a little icon hint as to what articulation you're currently on. And here's tremolo. So there's your tremolo icon, which corresponds to music notation. Also your harmonics, again, corresponds. Here's what they sound like. Your staccato. You also have repetition. And then you can change that to 1/16. Slam actually has a little compression on the articulation. Get a little more volume here. Here's your spiccato. Or just without it. And then we have pizzicato. Then we have the violas. And so here you have your Symphony Essentials. So we're in sustains. And again, you have the same articulations. You have your harmonics, staccato. There's a slam. Can add on the repetition. Spiccato. And then let's take a look at the violas in the extended version. So there's your violas, Symphony series. Okay, actually we're still focused on the previous one. There we go. And notice in the violas we actually have 12 players. And so with auto Divisi on, if I play 2 notes, I get 6 and 6. If I play 3 notes, I actually go outside the 12 players and get 18, 3 times 6, as opposed to the 2. But that works fine because most scores only have 2 parts for violas anyway. And then we have the legato with the no vibrato in this case. If I put auto Divisi on, again, the 6 plus 6 plus 6 if you're doing 3-note chords. 4-note chords, you get 24. But again, that defeats the purpose of the auto Divisi. So you just want to use 2 notes for auto Divisi with the violas. And then we have sordino as well. This control here is activated by your mod wheel. And then let's look at another articulation. Here's your tremolos and your trills. And again, we have the different scales available, as well as major, minor, half, or whole trills. So here's a whole trill. And we also have harmonics. As well as staccato. And we can activate repetition. Let's do 1/8. Now, if I engage auto Divisi, we should have less strings playing. So I'll just do some 2-note combinations. So here we go. Now we'll take off auto Divisi. So each note is playing 12. So now, so that's the actual. So you actually have 24 players here because each note is 12 players, which is the case in most string libraries. If you have 12 players, each key is 12 players. So 3 keys is going to be 36. Also, the round robins, you can do continuous or random. Here's auto Divisi. And then we have spiccato, and we can do the same thing with spiccato. Here's your repetition. Do 8s. So there you have a comparison with the violas. And then we have let's go to the Symphony Essentials cellos. So we have sustains, no true legato. And then you have sordino, which is a great articulation for any string library. And that's with the vibrato. Then we have tremolos, as well as harmonics. And staccato. And again, you can use the repetition feature. And then we have spiccato. And then pizzicato. Again, you can use the slam, which adds the compression. And then let's go back to the, well, if I pick, I can do sustains here. Now, for comparison, let's take a look at the fuller version with more actually about the same number of articulations, but we do have the mic positions. We have a Divisi, and as you can see from this, we have 10 cello players. Auto Divisi is engaged, and we have legato. We also have portamento if we wanted. Now, if you notice this little indicator, it tells you if you're in the portamento range. So that has to do with the keyboard velocity, how hard you press the key or how fast. So I'm increasing the velocity, I'm staying above the portamento line. So we have 10 players, so if I hit 2 notes, it's spread out 5 and 5. If I hit 3 notes, it extends it to 15 players, even though we have 10, which is better than other libraries that would give you 30. So there's your legato, then here's your legato non-vibrato. So the true legato and the portamento are big features in the full library. And then, of course, you have your mic positions. So that's in the mixer section. So you have, right now we're listening to stereo, which is the default, but you can do close, mid, and far. But look at the memory, we're using 74 gigs, and that's just on the stereo. So, or 0.74 gigs, sorry. So when you get in the close, mid, and far, you get a fuller sound, but at the same time, using a lot of memory resources. So depending on what you want to do, it does sound great. Let's go ahead and give you an example. We'll go ahead and add in the close and the mid, and I'll take the stereo out. So notice we're at 1.5, 1.7 gigs, and we're all the way up to 2.19. So now, if I put in the auto divisi, I can do sustain. So it's still doing portamento, even though we're doing 2 notes at this point. And here you have the vibrato. As well as the portamento. So a lot of big features in the full version. And then then you have your octave runs up, as we saw in some of the previous, in the full version. So that's minor, here's major. And then harmonic, staccato, spiccato, and pizzicato. And then again, with the short articulations, you can do the repetition thing. So that's the cellos. Then we have the basses and now the only thing I was a little disappointed about was the basses in the Essentials version, because pretty much the other articulations hold up in the violins, violas, and cellos, but listen to the bass. And then listen to the bass in the full version. So here's the full version. Whoops. Now, I believe in this particular one, everything's been stereo, except I did do the microphone mixer. And I put in the close, mid, and far in the full version of the basses, because the basses in the essential version seem to have a lot, they just seemed a little unreal, a little fake compared to everything else. Maybe you can pick up on that as well. So it's just the way, I don't know, actually, it's got a performance here. Somehow the attack got changed. Maybe that's what it was. That may have been what it was. Okay. It's funny because I didn't knowingly change any of the attack, release, or brightness settings. So it does sound better when you tweak the attack. Make sure your attack's all the way to the left. So that's better. But then we have the basses with the full mic positions. And then we also, of course, have the legato, true legato. And I'll play that phrase over here. So you're missing the connectedness of the legato. So the legato makes a huge difference, as well as the mic positions for fullness. And then they both have ensemble patches. So let's take a look at the ensemble package in the Essentials version. I mean, the Essential version sounds really good. The only thing that's lacking really is the legato. And then here we have Sordino. Tremolo. Trills. Harmonics. Staccato. And you have your repetitions again. I hear a little bit of the shotgun effect on the Symphony Essentials. Let's switch over to the full version for the ensemble patch and compare. So in the Essentials patch, we were just looking at staccato. Let's go ahead and do staccato. in the full version. And then we'll do the repetition. Let's go ahead and put this at 1/8 as well in the essentials. That's better. And here's your ensemble. And I'm just using the stereo mic in the ensemble. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, because the close and the mid and the far are not activated. So again, you can add the different mic positions and give you greater fullness in the full edition. Plus, we have, in the full edition, we have Divisi. So let's go ahead and take a look at the performance. And let's go ahead and look at the okay, well, this is again the ensemble, so you don't have legato. As a matter of fact, you don't have Divisi, which makes sense because you have access to all of the instruments, all those 4 groups of strings, your basses, cellos, violas, and violins. So we've gone through the differences between the essentials and the full version, or the Symphony series. And so we see pretty much the primary differences are the Divisi and the legato, and also you have a variable vibrato in the full version. So this is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music. If you like this video, please click like. If you wish to be notified of upcoming updates, then please subscribe. So Bill McFadden signing off from Tone Pure Music.